to Dr. Zia Ahmed YouTube channel. Today in this video we shall be talking about chapter 12, although it's a chapter 12 of the whole novel A Passage to India by A.M. Foster, but in the part 2, that is Malabar Caves, this is the first chapter. So let's have a start with this and see what important things we can see into it. It says the Ganges, though flowing from the foot of Vishnu and through Siva here, it's not an ancient stream. Geology, looking further than religion, knows of a time when neither the river nor the Himalayas that nourished it existed, and an ocean flowed over the holy places of Hindustan. The mountains rose, their debris silted up the ocean. The gods took their seats on them and contrived the river, and the India we call immemorial came into being. But India is really far older. In the days of the prehistoric ocean, the southern part of peninsula already existed, and the high places of Dravidia have been land since land began, and have seen on the one side the sinking of a continent that joined them to Africa, and on the other to upheaval the Himalayas from a sea. They are older than anything in the world. No water has ever covered them, and the sun, who has washed them for countless aeons, may still discern in their outlines forms that were his before our globe was torn from his bosom. If flesh of the sun's flesh is to be touched anywhere, it is here among the incredible antiquity of these hills. So, as is the mood, dear students, in whole of this novel, that the Indian people and their beliefs are undermined and they are not given special importance. Same thing happens here in case of the construction or coming into existence of these Malabar caves. According to religion, as the writer tells, these Malabar caves were made by the gods, but the geography, according to the writer, and geology tells that it's not the case at all. These caves, he says, did not exist here. It was the silt of the river or the water of the river combined together, and the ocean which used to play here on this part of the land. It converted this land into the caves, into the small mountains where the caves are present. And ultimately, with the passage of time, the sea dried up and only the river existed, and the place which is called Dravidia that came into existence. So this much is the oldness of India. And that is why, because of this geographical and geological changes, the writer says that India can be considered the oldest country of the world. But the belief that gods made it, Shiva made it, or some other gods, as the Hindus claim, the river Ganges, they say they made it, as they claim, is the purest or the pious type of river, he is not ready to accept it. So therefore, the scientific and geological explanation he tries to give, as is the wont of most of the post-colonial writers, that they do not accept the validity of the local myths and the religion. They would rather instead try to prove that scientific or other proofs are more valid. So the same thing has been happened here. But whatever the case may be, Malabar caves are an important thing in the history of India, in the religion of India, and that is why this part of the novel has been used here, because it is important, because it goes to show the ancientness of India, because it has the kind of interest the colonial master would be interested in, because for him colonized lands are fascinating, and so he would like to mention these things as well. So this is one of the proofs of the fascination of the Western imperialism into the Eastern spaces, which are fantastic for these people. So if we continue down the lane with the same idea, we will be able to find more discussion on it. For example, the writer says a tunnel 8 feet long, 5 feet high, 3 feet wide. So that would be the cave. The cave which is only 8 feet long, so very small length of the cave, and 5 feet high. I mean, a man may be barely able to stand in it, and only 2 feet wide. That is the whole space one cave can occupy. And according to the writer, this is the Malabar caves. Such like caves, according to him, they existed there on the hills. It's kind of group of hills, according to him. Certain structures are naturally developed which may be tunnel-like, and because of which it is called the caves. So again, he has tried to say that these are not the real caves, these are very small spaces. These are the spaces which naturally were made because of the geographical changes. And the writer has shown his knowledge also about the length and breadth of the caves. So according to him, it's a group of mountains or hills, small hills. There these structures are present, and these are called the Malabar caves. And in the same way, he would define something more about this. For example, when we reach here, we see that the writer is saying, these caves are dark. Even when they open towards the sun, very little light penetrates down the entrance tunnel into the circular chamber. There is little to see and no eye to see it until the visitor arrives for 5 minutes and strikes a match immediately. Another flame rises in the depth of the rock and moves towards the surface like an imprisoned spirit. The walls of the circular chamber have been most marvelously polished. The two flames approach and strive to unite but cannot, because one of them breathes air, the other stone, a mirror inlaid with lovely color divides the lovers. Delicate stars of pink and grey interpose, exquisite nebulae, shading fainter than the tail of a comet, or the midday moon, or the evanescent life of the granite only here visible. Fists and fingers thrust above the advancing soil. Here at last is the skin, finer than any covering acquiring by the animal, smoother than windless water, more voluptuous than love. The radiance increases, the flames touch one another, kiss expire. The cave is dark again, like all the caves. So here he has again tried to talk about such a thing which may possibly be not a good one. According to him, the cave is having no light inside, and that light goes to show that there is darkness most of the time. Even when this is towards the direction is towards the sun, even then light doesn't enter these caves. So these caves are dark according to him. Yes, however, if one enters into the cave and ignites a match, so the flame of the match will be reflected on the sides of the caves, because according to him, these sides of the caves are polished, and because of polishness, the flame of the match would definitely reflect itself. And when you move it, it also moves with it. Such a shiny walls of these caves are, but not the upper portion, not the lower portion, only the sides seem to be very much shining. And it appears that the flames trying to meet each other, but they cannot. So ultimately, this is the kind of situation where the flames are also shining, the things are happening like that in these caves. And writer said, try to romanticize this is the situation by comparing the flames, the reflection of the flame and the original flame, with the lovers who would try to meet but one would be unable to meet. So in that way, he has presented a romantic picture of the darkness and the light which happens because of the match burning inside the cave. Another thing which the writer would like to point out about these caves is one of them is rumored within the boulder that swings on the summit of the highest of the hills, a bubble shaped cave that has neither ceiling nor floor and mirrors its own darkness in every direction infinitely. If the boulder falls and smashes, the cave will smash too, empty as an Easter egg. The boulder, because of its hollowness, sways in the wind, and even more when a crow perches upon it. Hence its name, and the name of its stupendous pedestal is called the Cavador. So this is the ending and the closing of these Malabar caves introduction. According to the writer, one of these caves is perched on the top of a small mountain. It is perched in such a way that if the air blows or the top mountain moves, the definitely upper structure also moves. And the writer says that even if a crow sits on it, it begins to move. So it is so delicate and so much surely placed at the top of that mountain. So when the boulder will fall down, definitely the cave will also end. Such is the fragility, such is the weakness of that space of the caves. And the writer says that it will smash down and break like an egg. So because of the sitting of the crow even on it, there is a movement in this cave. And that is why this cave has been termed as the Cavado. And with this chapter ends, some of the introduction has been made. The remaining introduction will come in further coming chapters. The students who want to know more about that may link to this channel so that they may be able to get further information about further coming chapters in this part of the novel, which is called Malabar Cave. So thank you for watching. Hope to see you in some next video.